Okay, welcome to a casino game. Mauricio and I are going to present you something really exciting, which is conditional statements. And I just saw you play a trick on me with the Joker card. I've noticed that. Now, what we want to show you with this casino game is how to understand some logic, and we call them conditions, if statements. And the first, and all of these if statements are based on a true or false answer. So I'm going to be asking a question, and if the answer is true, it'll trigger an action. So for example, I'm going to be drawing a card, uncovering a card from my deck. And if this card is red, if that is true, I'll give it to Mauricio, right? Okay, so let's do this. The first card, well, is this card red? False. Is this card red? True. I give it to Mauricio. So if the condition was true, then it triggered an action, and the action is giving it to Mauricio. Right? Okay. Next card. Is this card red? False. Is this card red? False. Is this card red? True. It triggers an action. I give it to Mauricio. Is this card red? False. Is this card red? True. Triggers an action. And so on and so forth. That's the first type, the easiest one, with one condition, one reaction. But what if we want to do something with all these cards that I am tossing away, that I am rejecting, right? The ones that are false. Well, if I want to use those false cards, then I'm going to write or design an else statement. So if the condition is false, if it's not red, then I'm going to keep it on the table. Let's give it a try. Is this card red? False. Goes on the table. Is this card red? True. Triggers an action. Is this card red? Yeah, true. I give it to Mauricio. Is this card red? False. I'm going to put it on the table because my else statement said, put this on the table. Is this card red? False. I put it on the table. Okay? So that was the second type of conditional statements, where I am doing something with those observations that do not meet the condition with the else clause. But there is also a third type of conditions, probably the most advanced, right?
Yeah, this is the most complex one, which will involve not only one condition, but more than one condition.
Okay, so let's take out the jokers, and I'm just kidding. So in this...
I cleaned my head.
No more jokers? Good. So in this case, we have a new deck of cards, and we will have more conditions. So the first condition will be for cards in the range between 2 and 4. The second condition will be on cards between 5 and 8. And the last condition will be for cards between 9 and 10. And we also can have a else clause for those that are figures, right? But let's focus on those cards between 2 and 10. Based on those conditions, I'm going to put my cards into 3 buckets, into 3 groups on this table. This group here this space here will be for cards between 2 and 4, this between 5 and 8, and these for between 9 and 10. So let's take a look at the first card. Is this card between 2 and 4? That's the first condition. The answer is true. Yes. So it goes here. Okay, next card. I'm covering. Is this card between 2 and 4? False. Which means I'm asking the second question. Is this card between 5 and 8? True. Okay, good. I'm putting it into the second group. For this card. Is this card between 2 and 4? False. I'm going to the second question. Is this card between 5 and 8? True. Okay, so I'm putting it into the second group. Third card. Well, same story, right? First question is it between 2 and 4? False. Is it between 5 and 8? True. Second group. Now I'm going to look for a card which is 9 or 10. Oh, there you go. Next card is 9. I wanted to cheat, but the deck was actually giving me the right card. Okay, so the first question is this card between 2 and 4? The answer is false. Is this card between 5 and 8? False. The last condition is this card between 9 and 10? True. So I'm putting it in the third group. Right?
Right.
Okay. And again, I could have closed this condition with an else statement, but no need for this exercise. We'll keep it simple. So we had 3 different conditions for 3 different groups of outcomes. Okay, well, this being said, I think we're ready for Vegas. Well, let's do it.
Blackjack.
Blackjack, yeah.
Well, guys, after playing a bit, Thomas got excited and he left to study a bit of poker. I hope that he wins a lot. So let's talk about comparisons and conditions. So we have a way to change the flow of our code. So usually our code runs top down, but if we have specific pieces of code that we want to run in specific conditions, we can change the flow of our program, our function, to run these specific pieces of code. And the command that you use to do that is the if. So the if is always connected to a condition or a set of conditions. The important thing here is to have in mind that the condition must be by itself result in true or false, right? Once you want to test a condition, make it sure that you write in a way that you will have either true or false. So in R, we have the simple if statement. How does it work? If I have the condition in parentheses, and then I have the curly brackets. If that condition results in true, R will run all the commands inside the curly brackets. So I open the curly brackets right after the condition. I close the curly brackets when after I finish the set of commands that should run when the condition is true. But what if I have more than one condition, or I have a special treatment for when the condition is false? So then I have the else command. So I will have my if when I have where I have the condition with the curly brackets as well. But after I close the curly brackets, I will write my else. The else means that this piece of code in the next block of curly brackets will run when the condition is false. So if condition true, I run the first block. If condition is false, I will run the else block. And now how we solve many conditions. So I have a similar structure, but I will need to build an else if. What it means that the first condition didn't match. So I went to the else, which is the previous condition is false, but then I want to check a different condition. So how we will do that? If condition, parentheses, remember, result either true or false. If condition true, curly brackets, first block of comments, the condition is true. Else, the condition is false. I want to add a new condition. Else if, condition again. Remember, condition, true or false. Curly brackets. This block will run if the second condition is true. And if my condition is not satisfied, I get a false response on this second condition, I can have an else. What the else will do? will run when none of the conditions before I got there are true. So condition one is false, I go to else if. Condition 2 is false, I go to the else. And then my code will run this last piece of code in between the curly brackets. Remember that as R uses the curly brackets to identify the chunks of code, everything that you want to run, regardless your conditions, your if statements, your nest of if, else, if, and else, you should write outside of the curly brackets. Cool. Which kind of comparisons I can do? So we can test our conditions in many different ways. We can use functions, we can use operators, we can use user-defined functions. The important thing here is, remember, inside the parentheses of the condition should result in true or false. So to compare if two values are equal, I will use equal. If I want to check if they are not equal, I will use the exclamation sign with an equal. Exclamation, by the way, in R means not, means that you are changing the value to the opposite. It works in the logical variables. So I can also test it by greater than, less than, greater than or equal, and lower, less than or equal. As I said, the condition inside the parentheses must return to true or false, which means that you can write one condition or many conditions, since once they are connected by the logical operators. They can be the or the and. How does the or works? If one of the conditions or both are true, or will result in a true value. And operates in a way that if one of the values is false or both are false, the result of that operation is false. It's a bit tricky. You need to understand well how it works, and the best way to do that is trying. So to play with it, go to RStudio, write your condition that returns true or false, and try to connect with operators. Use some print statements, print function to show the output of your nest. It will help you understand how you can build better conditions to your ifs and else. Okay? See you in RStudio soon. To make it simple, let's go through a code that will use an if else, if else. So first test, I have a grade, and here I have in my comments the rules for a student to be approved or to fail a class, or if he has the right to take a resit exam. So if the grade is higher than 6, he's approved. If the grade is lower than 6, but it's higher or equal to, he has the right to take the resit. If the grade is less than 2, then he fails. So I'm going to do a test here. So I will assign to the variable grade. Look here in my environment, this variable doesn't exist. So I will assign the value 8. So now I have here the variable grade with value 8. So if grade higher or equal 6, print approved. So let's run this piece of code and pay attention here to the console when I run it. So if grade higher or equal 6, print approved. So let's make the test. 8 is higher or equal 6? Yes, it is. So we printed approved. So now let's go to the second option where we have the condition for failed, for approved, if it's higher than or equal 6, and if not, I will print that the student failed. So I will keep for now the grade equal 8, and let's run this second if here. So grade has 8, so if 8 higher or equal 6, print approved. So here we go, we got the output approved. So let's write here a command to assign a value lower than 6 to the variable grade, let's say 4. So let's run this piece of code here. So now look in my environment that the grade changed, now it has 4. So if grade higher than 6, higher or equal than 6, print approved. But we know now that it's not, so the command that should run and that we should print the failed word, right? So let's run this second piece of code here. So grade is 4, grade higher or equal 6, it's not, so I go, it's not true, I go to the else, which runs the false part of my if. Making it a little bit more complicated, let's play and let's restate the value of grade to 8. So if the grade is higher or equal 6, approve it. If the grade is lower than 2, failed. If it's between 2 and 5.9, right, it will be the student has the right to take the RESIT exam. So I will run the line to change the value of the variable grade. So grade now has 8, and let's run the if, right, selecting everything. So if grade which has 8 higher or equal 6, print approved. So running this part, approved. Cool. Let's change it to something below 2. So 1. Let's run this code, and now the if statement. So if grade higher or equal 6, this is false, we know that it has 1, else, so the first condition was false, let's check for the second condition. If grade lower than 2, which it is, because we have 1 there, we should print fail. So let's run this, and there we go. Okay, what happens if I have a 4 here? Because 4 I am exactly in between both, right? So let's run the code to change the grade to 4, and let's check how the output works. So is grade higher or equal 6? It's not, we have 4. So we should not print approved. Else, where I should go, if grade lower than 2, is it lower than 2? It's not, because now we have 4. So then I will go to the else, which means that my code didn't run the block when the first condition was true, didn't run the block when the second condition was true, it will run this last block. So we should see here in the console, reset. Nice. As an example, I will show you how to connect two conditions that that will change a bit the order of our if-else, but it's important for you to understand how we will connect the conditions to make one condition that will result in true or false. So first of all, I need to write conditions that are true or false by itself. So I have one condition here. Is grade higher or equal to? And the second condition is grade lower than 6? So in this case, if I have a grade that is higher or equal to and at the same time is lower than 6, this student will take the resit exam. So I will keep the grade with the value 4, and let's run this piece of code here, and we should see resit, right, as the same way that we saw in the previous if. Nice. There we go. If I want to change the grade to a different number, let's say 1, just to make the test again. So changing to 1, let's run the if. So first, is the grade higher or equal to? This condition is false. So the the AND operator, it says that if one of the conditions is false, everything that the AND connects is false. So I will skip the first block here. I'm going to the second, and then else if grade less than 2, which it is, I should print failed. So let's do it, and there we go. Let's change the grade to 8 and see if we have the last result, which is approved, right? So is grade higher or equal to? Yes, it is. And less than 6? It's not. It's the second condition here. The second piece of my if condition is false. So if this is false, I will not run this first print. Else, if grade is less than 2, I print failed. Is grade less than 2? It's not, because we have 8 on this variable. So our code should fall here in the else and prints approve. So when you run here, we had approved.